Hello, everyone. I hope you are ready to talk about some reality TV because this is your ticket to reality. I'm one of your hosts, Lee Swift, former finalist on The Circle Season 2 on Netflix. And we have two of the founders, gods, in charge of Agents of Fandom who host Ticket to Reality. And then we have Emma, who is one of the you are the managing editor, isn't that right? What is your title?
Tell me. I think it is.
What is
I'm gonna step in here and confirm managing editor of the Agents of Fandom.com. The Agents of Fandom. Agents of Fandom.com.
Yeah, don't type the.
Yeah.
And of course, the names behind the titles on our half. I'm TJ. That's Garrett. You know.
Just so you don't refer to us as gods ever, please.
Yeah.
Garrett and TJ.
We are good with our first names.
Okay. All right.
God
first
1
names.
and God 2.
God 1, God 2. We won't say which is which because then we'll have a battle again. So
yeah.
All right. Yeah. We're getting real here at Ticket to Reality, and there has been so much that's happened since we last talked with you guys. And I think we should let's talk about The Bachelorette first.
Okay.
I watched When the Men Talk Back episode. Did you see that episode?
Yeah. It's okay. What I've realized after years of watching the show now, that there's always one person that they bring back from the beginning of the season that you literally don't remember, that was there for literally like 2 seconds. And the producers I just know that they're sitting behind the scenes like, okay, so you're going to mess with this guy and you're going to like stir the pot and you're going to say like, he's just sitting there like completely like just causing all the drama and all the fights. I'm like, dude, you were there for 2 seconds. And I think that's like what one of the other guys responded. He was like, you were at the house for a day. Like, what do you like? Yeah. He's the one that's just going after everyone. I'm like, they pick the one person from the beginning of the season.
Even I know this phenomenon from the little bit of Bachelorette that I've seen. There's just one unknown who just comes to stir shit up at the reunion. Exactly. Like, you know what? I didn't get time enough to make a name for myself, and I'm upset, and I'm just gonna rip it tonight on live TV. And you know what? You got to respect that, Gander. If not, just a little bit.
I feel like it's the Paradise audition, in my opinion.
Yep. He did change the color of his hair so he would really get noticed with the platinum blonde. So I'm like, okay. What did you think about Meatball and the meat sauce?
Oh my god. What? Okay, I'm sorry. Like, I get it's like
I'm gonna need a thorough explanation of this.
Okay, so there's this guy on there named Meatball is honestly the only name I actually like remember from the previous guys, because it's like how can you forget? He didn't go by any other name. Like, he literally just went by Meatball. So like they would have the serious rose ceremonies and be like, Meatball, will you accept this rose? And I'm just like, how can you whatever? So he just is the Meatball King or whatever, and at the Men Tell All ceremony he actually poured like tomato sauce on himself. So I don't know who I'm sorry to whoever had to clean that up. I don't know that it was worth it, but it was a good TV moment, I guess.
Yeah, there's almost no topping that, really. Like,
no, I mean,
on Bachelor, like if you're the person that has to next year at the reunion, like you really gotta bring your A game. Like, that dude poured tomato sauce on himself after going by Meatball for the entire season. Like,
you really can't
kick it up a notch, please.
Yeah, I mean,
I have a theory though, and I wanted to ask you as being part of Bachelor Nation. They did one thing. I mean, they didn't do one thing at this that they normally do, which is ask the Bachelor, Bachelorette, "Are you happy?" He didn't ask that. So I'm wondering if at the end of this, they're either one going to, I'm wondering that because that was glaring to me. I don't know if it was to you.
That's a great, honestly, I didn't notice that, but that's a really great point, because they always kind of tease at this point. They're like, they don't obviously ask them, are you engaged? They'll be like, whatever your situation is right now, are you happy? Like, how is it going? Yeah, they just kind of skipped right over that. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't work out for one of them. it just based on like the previous last few seasons, it's been totally different than what it normally, like with Clayton's season, it was completely different with the season before. Like it hasn't ended in the traditional engagement like it used to anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if something happens.
Did they look happy though?
They
or like fake happy?
They were happy with each other.
Yeah.
They were happy
Honestly,
with
like
each other.
the thing that I've wanted to happen is to be like for them to not pick any of the guys and just like end up falling in love with each other because that's like because they're just so fun and I'm just like that's what I wanted. Yes, that's what I would have wanted to happen.
For it.
Honestly, the producers wanted that to happen too because that like
right.
But then you just have to end it like then you just have to end the Bachelorette because
then you just have to be because that's like the peak. Like,
yeah, it doesn't ever get better than that.
It really doesn't. Yeah, they're just so fun. Like I just love watching them. I don't really like, not like no shade to these guys. I mean, some of them are great, but not really entertained watching them as much as like I don't know. There just hasn't been anyone that really stands out to me. That's like, oh, this is a wonderful guy. I don't know. It's just me.
Speaking of wonderful guys, how's the Love Island wonderful guys going, TJ?
Love Island is done. Love Island is finished. I'm sad. I don't have my daily show to watch anymore. Big Brother only comes out every now and then, so it might be time, Garrett, to start F-Boy Island. I was getting to it. I think it might be time for Ava and I to dive in because we did just finish Love Island. Won't spoil who won, but it was a phenomenal finale. The trend of strong couples making it through to the end stuck. And we had a good finale of 3 strong official couples that were continuing their relationships outside the villa. And so I'm looking forward to looking up some of these Instagrams, seeing what Zeta and Timmy are up to, seeing what Deb and Jesse are up to, seeing what Isaiah and Sydney are up to. It's gonna be.
Let's get them on the show. Come on, let's get them on the show.
Let's do it. We're gonna have to. I'm telling you, Lee. It works way better when you DM people than when I DM people because they see that little check mark, and I actually think it goes to a different part of their inbox when somebody with a verified check sends it to them. So
actually, the check mark they all come to the top. That I do know that. Like they immediately go to the top of your list.
Mine are at the bottom. I don't even see them.
Yeah, mine are just lost in the abyss.
We'll see how long I keep that blue check. yeah. Okay, I'm excited. All right, and F-Boy, how is it? I promise it's on my list. It's on my list.
It's on my list too.
Yeah. So we finished season 1. I don't know if I told you guys this last week, but there's like 2 guys named like your meatball story reminded me of this. But there's a guy named 2 guys named Jared on the island, and literally
Jared's
they call
name.
Yeah, and the guy is a meatball. Both of them are kind of meatballs, but they call one of them OG Jared the entire time because the other Jared came in like 2 weeks after he was in like the second group. So he's Jared, and then the other guy is OG Jared, and like it was the same thing.
Jared is right there. You don't need the OG, just Jared.
Yeah,
but then every time she'd be like, the girl would be like OG Jared, and like she would. It was ridiculous.
That like sounds annoying. OG Jared. Yeah, it should just be.
And he sucked, but you guys have to see for yourself.
Okay,
we finished it, and I remember saying to my partner Nina, I don't understand, like, because there's like a twist at the end. It's wild. I don't want to spoil anything, but something happens, and I remember saying to Nina, I don't know how they can have another season. Of course, we thought that this was the current season that was happening right now, and then we found out that there is a second season. So I'm happy to report that we have indeed finished the second season already.
I mean, there's plenty of F-boys to go around in the world, so.
And they had some twists, and it all made it worth it. And the last episode is again a banger. Some people come back. 2 dudes come back from the last season.
Okay.
There are no shortage of F-boys, and as Trevor told us when we had him back on the episode, he needs a show him and Delisa need a show teaching women how to dial it up 1 notch, teaching men how to dial it back 12.
I'm here for it.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. Go back and listen to that episode if you haven't, because it was a Trevor's episode and also Delisa's episode. Amazing.
Two
Claim
amazing
to
people.
fame. I will tell you, as they're getting closer to the end, and I'm sorry, I know they have claims to fame and they may have big checks. I don't think they do, because one of them was talking. She says, I'm a mother of 3 and all this stuff. And I can't remember if it's her uncle or cousin. So I don't know that all the money flows to all of them. Maybe some of them did, but it was very interesting. The person who got let go looked just like her sister, Simone Biles. I mean, they're like twins. So it's like they uncovered her very quickly. But it's getting kind of, they're all lying and getting ruthless. We're down to like, I think 5. And it's like, ooh, they're getting kind of, I mean, they're going for it. So my money's probably on Logan, because his claim to fame is, I think it's his cousin. Oh, there goes my phone.
Wolverine.
Sorry. It's Wolverine. That's
Wolverine. Right. Yeah, Logan. That Logan.
Hey,
I like that
ding.
Logan.
Okay, everybody drink. We had our Marvel moment.
So it's not done. Our Marvel moment's not done, because you know what else is on my list, and it might be slightly outside of our domain to whip up a National Geographic reality TV show, but I don't know if this is the same for you guys, but I'm watching here in Canada, I'm watching Big Brother on Prime Video. And so I know it's Paramount Plus in the States, but we don't have Paramount Plus here. It's just a channel on Prime Video. And so Paramount Plus exists. It's just like part of Prime Video. And so that's where I'm watching it. And like all the trailers are for these 2 different things. One of them is for some like scary thing that I'm having trouble remembering what it is off the top of my head. There's 3 of them actually. One is for Queer as Folk, and that is the more fun one, a lot more fun than the horror one.
Love it.
And then the third one is always this National Geographic reality TV show called, I just want to make sure I get the name of it right, Running Wild with Bear Grylls. And the latest season, which I believe just debuted the day we're recording this.
Banger show.
I've never seen it, but the latest season, it's called Running. It's
Amateurs.
Is it always a challenge TV show? Like, is it always like this? Well, have you seen who the latest people are in it?
If it came out today, no.
They've been like advertising it on Prime for a while, and it's Simu Liu, it's Natalie Portman, and so
I did know that actually.
You know, these were being filmed like right in their when they're in the midst of their Marvel training, and the clip with Simu Liu, he's like, he just leaves you here. He doesn't buy you breakfast. He just leaves you here, and he's in like this winter parka before doing some outdoor trek. And Natalie Portman's like, they wouldn't make me do this if I couldn't do this, right? Like, I'll be able to. And you can just tell she's terrified. And so that's going to be something that I'm going to add to my list, because it's kind of reality TV, even though it's National Geographic, and it's got our Marvel stars in there.
Brie Larson did it, I'm pretty sure, around Captain Marvel time.
Huh.
I think I remember that actually. Yeah, and that kind of adds up, that they would just add these Marvel stars when they're in the middle of training for their super intense stuff, because it would just kind of fit what they're doing anyways.
Yeah, that's like perfect time.
I think we all 4 should watch that. Yeah, no, seriously, that's I love that series very much.
Is Naked and Afraid on National Geographic? Is that what that is on? Because that is a great show.
I've never watched that.
I believe you can watch it on Prime Video too. And do you know what?
Emma, do you not know what it is? Are you like very shocked right now? Okay, I was gonna say, do I need to do an explainer real quick for any?
No,
maybe we should explain this.
Have you guys heard of Naked Attraction?
Oh,
no, I don't know. Different. Naked Attraction.
That sounds like Showtime, maybe.
It's reality TV it's a real reality TV show, and it's on Prime Video. And if you click it and just watch for like 30 seconds, you see all the body parts. And literally the premise is the polar opposite of Love is Blind.
Oh,
it's
so
just
it's like all
love
based
is
on
very.
love is
it's
not
just
blind.
no. They see
Love
each other
is
naked
2020.
first. Exactly,
is
they see each
shallow.
other
Yeah,
naked
there you go.
first,
Wow.
and then they go on the dates based on the people that they pick. And like
Wow.
we didn't make it through. We just clicked it, kind of thinking like this looks funny. And then we got like it was a minute, and it's like penis vagina, stop. And we got the heck out of there. But it was wild.
Yeah,
Wow,
I
that's,
can hear one of the contestants. Not enough meat, too much potatoes. But going on.
I'm a grower.
I feel like
you
would make a phenomenal host of that show.
Oh my god.
Oh, it'd be
Wow.
fun. It'd be fun.
Wow.
Because if I got naked, everybody would be afraid. Let's just say. So anyway, yeah, naked and afraid. Okay, let's go around the horn.
Go in that one. Catfishing is River.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, before we go on, talking about
Wow.
catfishing. So I don't know if I mentioned this on the episode, but I want to send an audition tape into Big Brother. Did I talk about this on the last episode? No. So I didn't talk about it. Okay, so my idea is, because I know they have silos. I'm Netflix supposedly, and they're CBS, but I love Big Brother. So my idea is to grow a beard and do a little shot, so I have the time lapse from no beard to a beard, and then dye my hair and dye the beard. Take the glasses off and say, this is how committed I am to be on Big Brother. I'll even call myself by my first name, Roy, and I'm a landscaper from Dallas. So catfishing on Big Brother from the day I walk in. What do you think? You think they
I think that's
the producers might like it?
Phenomenal idea.
It's like what's it called? Undercover Boss meets The Circle meets Big Brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, I'm ruining it saying it here on Ticket to Reality. I just blew my whole
It's audition. A win-win scenario because either Ticket to Reality fails and this will work, or Ticket to Reality booms and your plan will fail, but then it doesn't really matter anyways because we're going to have the hottest reality TV podcast.
I love it. Done.
Which one do I prefer? I think that one.
Yeah,
I mean, me too. But
I'd love to be in Big Brother.
If Lee goes on Big Brother, do you not think immediately after that it would not take off?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I feel like we choose the first option and we get the second option. So the second option kind of sucks. Let's go with the first option.
Yeah, we're thinking long term here, Garrett. We've been doing this for a while.
It's the long game.
That's where we
let's go.
We've been doing this for 5 months. We're veterans.
Yeah, that's why I don't run it. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, we're seasoned veterans. We got a full 100.
Glad that we have made you guys think that we know what we're doing. That's the real.
You know how much to learn in 150 days? $1 million things.
There you go.
And me, $1 million plus another $1 million because of all his knowledge that he's imparted to me.
I'm loving it. Well, let's talk about knowledge of Big
I'm
Brother.
Not there yet because he imparts a lot of knowledge to me and I don't retain any of it.
Lee has tried to segue into this like 6 times, and now honestly,
have you guys ever seen the YouTube video Paper Towels?
No.
You know what ShamWow is?
Yes, of course. He's an awful person.
Yeah, awful person. So this video on your free time, and I recommend this for all of our viewers because it's just hilarious. YouTube Paper Towels. Okay. And it's a spoof on ShamWow of how they're essentially paper towels, and the guy who does it is just fantastic and it's hilarious. So check out Paper Towels on YouTube. I remember watching it in high school and just thinking it was hilarious stuff.
They have paper towels in the Big Brother house. It's weaker and weaker. My segue.
Does anybody
honestly, Lee, it's not your fault. TJ interrupted you 7 times while you were trying to segue into that category.
You guys know how many times I've made a segue and then you guys are just like, hey, that was a segue. This is my payback.
Honestly, TJ, it doesn't compare. Yeah. The numbers don't compare.
We have a while to get to work up to that.
Oh my gosh, that's fun.
Okay, Lee, this is your chance. Take it.
We've lost all our listeners, including my cousin Jack, but that's okay. We'll continue on.
You know who else interrupts each other? Big brothers and little brothers. Recently on Big Brother.
You took that from him.
You know what? Don't use the segue. Don't use the segue. Don't give him the ammo. Don't give him the ammo.
So remember that YouTube
video? Oh my gosh, I'm crying.
Interrupting cow. Moo.
Well, I'm glad we're having fun because it got very serious in the Big Brother house.
And apparently it's been getting serious in the Big Brother house for like weeks, and we just haven't known about it.
Yeah. It's just
I've kind of known because I've watched the live feeds. Let me say something about the live feeds before, because I'm aggravated. This is definitely going to get me cast. I'm aggravated with the producers because it's definitely, if you haven't been following it, there's been real world issues about racism, and we'll go into it. We'll all talk about it, but they've had some real serious conversations in the live feeds, and I'll be watching it and then they click away when they're not even done with the conversation, and it has driven me absolutely crazy. And I'm like, what are they scared of talking about this? Why is Big Brother CBS producers afraid to stay on something that's pretty serious and coming from the heart, from like Monty and Kyle were having a conversation. I was watching it, and then they click away, and it's Taylor and Brittany talking about putting on eyelashes instead of finishing the conversation. So I know they got to make a show and they want to make sure they keep everything, but they're not going to use all that. They're going to use little bits of it. So I'd rather on the live feeds. That's my opinion. That's all I got to say on that.
I agree.
I'm curious too, before we fully dive into it, because I think we're going to spend more time talking about live feeds than we are actually talking about the show this week, and rightfully so, because as we were talking in our group text, it's recently it's kind of been more exciting. And so the spot I'm at right now, I feel like I always get it slightly delayed because I'm in Canada. But I'm all caught up in Prime Video, and we got Turner's the head of household, and the only thing about that conversation that I've seen on my screen so far has been oh no, that wasn't a live feed too text. It was the Monty and Kyle thing. The Monty Kyle Terrence thing. That was also a live feed. So it's really not been addressed at all. And so we got the Turner and Kyle being their final two thing, even though Kyle seems to be with Alyssa. That's the most recent I've seen. Is there an episode since then? And so there's not, but then the stuff that we're seeing on the live feeds, that's all since this episode, right?
It's wild.
And I think there's one tonight. The one from Sunday was honestly a whole lot of nothing to me. I know they reunited, but just with everything that's going on, I was watching, I'm just like, okay. And I kind of went back to the live feeds.
See, I'm telling you, there's in the Big Brother world, they call the casual fans that are people that just watch the episodes. And then when you get really deep in the weeds, like I am, you always watch the live feeds. I still watch the episodes because how they cut it together. I want to know what storyline are they trying to tell, but I'm really deep into it. But so we kind of left off in the last episode. They did the reunion, and we don't even have the head of household. They did the reunion, and that's about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, did they do nominations?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Turner became the head of household, and he put up.
Okay, we did see that.
Did we?
Brittany and Taylor.
Brittany and Taylor. And so this actually brings up an important point for me, because this is a conversation I had with my wife, Ava, and I'm interested specifically on your, Emma, and your Lee's perspective, because Garrett, I feel like your lived experience will be similar to mine here. Not to speak for you, and so if you feel differently, feel free to chime in. But I was just talking, I was obviously all this Kyle stuff going on with the racist comments and stuff like that, and nothing outwardly racist, but a lot of internalized like institutionalized oppression that is just ingrained in him that he doesn't realize is going on because he's a straight white guy. And so as I was like that for 90% of my life, I'm 29 years old. I was probably like that until about 23, 24, before I got into the college of education and started learning about all of this stuff. And I kind of see it and go, ugh, Kyle's a really bad racist. Now I kind of see how Turner's been acting these last couple episodes, and nothing is outright sexist, but kind of all of his actions. Who are all the people in the house that he dislikes? It's the women. Who are all the people in the house he thinks he likes and trusts? It's the men. And I view it so similarly to like the profession. We talked about this in the past, Emma. You and I have talked about this a lot because it's all professions, but we've seen it so closely in ours. Of like, for me personally, the women outnumber the men like 10-1, 8-1, 7-1 in schools as teachers, but the administration are like 60% men. And so even though the pool is way, way smaller, it's most of the men getting in power. And it's usually not, oh, I don't trust a woman to do the job, but it's, oh, he's my buddy. I know him well. I think he'd do a good job. And that's what they get promoted. And that's kind of how I see it being with Turner as well. It's like not outward sexism, but like a lot of internalized misogyny there. And I brought that up to Ava, my wife, and she says like, you're absolutely right. But honestly, like I don't really, it's not as like glaringly forceful to me, because if I was pushing away everyone in my life that's like that, I would have a very, very small circle left. That's the reality we live in of being in a patriarchy and being a white dominated society, is unless you are part of the minority, you have to kind of be enlightened to know that. If you are part of a minority, you're seeing that by almost everyone around you every single day to varying degrees. And so she brought up that like, yeah, it's definitely there, and she agrees, but it's not as poignant and it's not as hard hitting, because if you spend enough time getting to know everybody, that those comments are going to be coming out from a lot of different people, and those behaviors are going to be coming out as well.
Yeah, it's very I would agree completely, because the way that Turner, I also kind of it's mixed with some internalized racism as well, I think, because the way that he kind of like at least in my, I can't speak for how like Taylor would feel, but it just seemed like he still was gunning really hard for Taylor. He gunned really hard for Jasmine, and it just kind of just it's one of those things that kind of rubs me the wrong way, that he still kind of wanted, at least from what I saw on the Twitter updates, kind of wanted to, you know, give Kyle a, you know, he obviously like outwardly was like, no, that's horrible, but it still seemed like he would be more willing to keep Kyle than he would turn around and be like, well, I still want Taylor out. And I'm just like, so that's kind of like, to me, that's what it felt like. But to your point, TJ, like a lot of the sexism that happens, that I've experienced, that a lot of women and just everyone has experienced, it's very subtle. And a lot of people won't pick up on it, because nowadays, you know, people will be like, oh, there's no sexism anymore, but it's not the same as it was back in the day. There is a lot of it. It's everywhere, but it's a lot more subtle nowadays. So, for example, in the little time that I was working in the legal field, like it's very much, I was clerking at a law firm, and my duties there were to help the lawyers and like do the actual work. I was in law school, but when there's like events going on in the office, all the women are asked to gather supplies, to set up, to bring stuff, and I'm just like, and so I started to notice that. I'm like, why are you assuming that I want to do that, B, have time, have the abilities to do that just because I'm a woman? Like, I don't inherently know how to decorate a party better than anyone else just because I'm a woman. It's just because like society has kind of ingrained that. So it's like very subtle stuff like that. And the same happens in my daily life, not to like call out my, my significant other's family and like my family, but like it's a lot of, they assume that I'm making all the plans. Like I sometimes am referred to as like the calendar for my partner, and it's like, I don't necessarily know how to make plans better than anyone else. I just it's like very it's a lot of learned behaviors, a learned helplessness from men that like they just kind of allow the women to do these things because that's just how it is. So it's very that's like a completely spot on observation because it's very subtle these days. But I notice it. I think a lot of other people notice it when they're experiencing it. So yeah, it's
And I think those learned behaviors is such like an important thing to point out and realize, because think of how many times you're kind of in a situation and somebody says, well, oh yeah, of course that's not always the case, but she's better than me at that.
yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah.
the reason for that is probably because she's been forced to be her entire life because of being in these situations, and you've just been allowed to go, oh yeah, don't worry about it, somebody else is handling it.
Absolutely. That's
And
spot on.
that's I think was exactly what Taylor was trying to get across to Kyle
Yeah.
in that live feed conversation. And that's another thing that's kind of pissing me off about these producers is I'm watching the show, and same thing with Ava, she's watching this show, and we're kind of going like, everything Taylor says just sounds like it's a bumper sticker.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just the stuff that's getting shown on the Big Brother stuff. Like they always show the
Mm-hmm.
end clips of her interviews where she's saying something that is clearly like the TV hook. But then you see these conversations in the live feed that we don't get to see on the show. And she's articulating all of these amazing points to Kyle, bearing her soul, laying it all out there, and talking about lived difficult experiences, being a leader, making a difference. And then we just see the bumper sticker quotes on the actual show.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I think they've been portraying her poorly all season, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
From the very beginning, the producers and the edits have made her seem like this, like they made her seem like the pageant girl at the beginning, and we've seen so clearly now throughout the weeks that she's so much more than that. She's so kind and thoughtful and smart, and really a leader of the house. And we're having to find that out for ourselves, you know, in digging through the live feed tweets and threads and videos. And like you said, TJ, they're only showing like the little quirky stuff, but not any of the substance. So it's very disappointing to see, as like, I think for most of us, this is our first Big Brother experience. And so learning about like stuff like the cookout that happened in the past, that only happened because that was the only chance that they had to win it for the first time in 23 seasons. And yet here we are 1 season after, and this is like 1/20th of this story has been shown to us. So that's a little disappointing.
And, you know, they have to do that. I mean, to be devil's advocate, you know, they're watching them 24/7, and they have to have a storyline. I just don't know that I always disagree with the storylines that they're doing. But I will say she's got a huge fan base, even with the casual watchers, because I have some friends that are just casual watchers. So there's been enough on there, you know, her being bullied, people, especially female friends of mine, they're just they're hashtag Taylor win, you know, they're definitely on Team Taylor. But talking about gameplay, I just going back to Turner, since we're kind of really diving deep into him, on a strictly gameplay, I think he made a huge mistake getting the HOH, because he really was kind of in the middle. He wasn't anybody's target. He had after party. He had the leftovers, you know, they were suspect, but they were going to gun for Kyle before him, and Alyssa probably, and even Terrence. I think so him becoming HOH was a misstep gameplay wise. I think he's the youngest guy. I think he's made missteps too. Unlike Kyle, who, and I agree with you, I think there's systemic racism but I give him no pass. I'm going to tell you, there's enough information out there. It's kind of like one of the live feeds, Taylor and him were talking, and it was almost like this was driving me crazy too. The black people were almost having to school him. And it's like, she said, pick up a book, go to follow some podcasts. There's information for you to expand your brain. It's not my duty as the minority person to constantly having to explain to you why what you're doing is wrong. And so I applauded her answer. She's very kind, I will say. They've all been very kind to him when they've had the little that we've gotten to see. But apparently they had a big group house meeting where everything kind of came out and it was all discussed. And spoilers are coming. We've already spoiled stuff, but Michael wins the veto and takes Brittany off.
That's not a spoiler. That's just a fact of the game.
That's pretty.
Yeah, because Michael wins everything. I do want to. Since we're diving deep into this,
feeling good about my trade now.
Yeah.
But especially with Michael just taking Brittany under his little wing.
That worked out really well for you.
Let me ask you a question here, because and this is not about the game. Well, it's sort of the game, but I have mixed feelings about Michael and Brittany bringing this up 2 weeks later. Because if it's hitting your moral fiber core, why didn't you bring it up? I mean, I'm glad they brought it up, and I know it's such a strange thing. Having been on the circle, I know it's so strange because you're playing game, you're relating to people, it's not the real world, and yet it is a social experiment. I think that's a problem for me. Why didn't you bring it up right then? And
I was
because
actually.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the same thing actually. Like that just popped into my head. I thought, and it was interesting because I think some of the tweets that I've seen about the live feeds is that Taylor and Monty were talking about. They were like, I don't know how we feel about them waiting to bring this up, and it seemed very much like when they were having that conversation with Turner in the HOH room, like laying it all out to him. They were like, almost like, we wish we didn't have to bring this up at all. So it almost kind of seemed very much like, I believe in some aspects they really, it did rub them the wrong way, and they see the problem with what Kyle was talking about. But I think them kind of coming at it with an angle of like, we're doing this because it's kind of beneficial for our game right now, and I don't want to necessarily, well, I don't know. I think that's kind of what they were doing. So it doesn't sit all that well with me either that they kind of, because, this is an issue that even they said, they were like, this is kind of an issue that's outside of the game. This is real. And I'm like, it is. So I think maybe this should have come out a little bit earlier, because I think like having kept it from some other people, and especially the thing to me also is going to Turner, and I know he was HOH, so that makes sense, but they kind of didn't really go to the people that it was directly affecting, like Taylor and Monty and Terrence. And it's just like, okay, that kind of, I think that they would have had a right to know earlier.
And if I remember correctly too, it took them a little bit of time to even bring it up with Kyle at first, to address it with Kyle. And I know they did say something to the effect of like, we've been asking ourselves, like, what is it about us that made him feel comfortable enough to like bring that up?
Yeah.
This
exactly.
is that made him but like, I totally agree with you guys. It feels a little skeezy as a game move, and it should have been brought up to Joseph, Monty, Taylor, at least them in the alliance at first, but like certainly Jasmine, Terrence at like weeks ago. Like, because it's been going, and even Indy was like brought in. It's been going on for like weeks, so now it's like being used as a pawn chip or like a chess piece. It feels like, but I don't know.
I agree that that's definitely the appearance, and in a vacuum, 100% agree with everything being said. I do think it's important to just kind of consider though as well, like, as somebody, and I don't know where they're at with this, but like as somebody with really bad anxiety, Garrett sent me a message in a group chat today and was just like, hey guys, we got to chat about some stuff. And it was about nothing that we chatted about caused me anxiety, but just like, is something wrong? Panic.
Yeah.
And so just kind of like somebody says something that makes you uncomfortable and you go, I need to process how I want to handle this. And then you times that by the millions of people who are watching your every move. And you got to consider like, all right, do I fully understand the situation? Did he say what I think he said? Because if I'm going to be calling him out, I'm calling him out in front of millions of people for being a racist. And that is a big accusation, a large claim. And so I know like that is something that would, no matter kind of how I felt about it, I know my head would give me a very difficult time with how I would want to go about it.
I think that's fair. And also, I mean, again, you know, it's very easy to judge on this side. They just met each other, what, 50 something days ago, and they're by themselves with people that were strangers 50 days ago. They don't have any of they're not in their house. They're not with the people that support them. So I do understand all that. I just wish on a personal level, it had been handled a little different, because I like Michael a lot. I think he's an incredible player of Big Brother. Incredible. He's got a big target on his thing. Okay. We've probably run through this a lot. So let's talk about gameplay for a little bit.
Honestly, one like last thing on this though, like,
go ahead.
Oh shoot. Did I lose it? I might've lost.
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh.
I can start talking again and you'll get it again.
Keep going. I'll come back to it.
I actually have one more point about it, if you don't mind. I think just the takeaway I think from all of this too is that I think all of the white people and all of us as white people, like myself, I recognize this too. I think we all have a lot of work to do, continued work. I think it's not just, you start somewhere and that's admirable. I think Turner, I think Michael, Brittany, Alyssa, I think all of them have, obviously Kyle, but all of them kind of have some work to do, I think, just to realize what, none of us, I think they all need to kind of process and realize maybe where people went wrong in some aspects, why things were portrayed the way that they were, why some stuff was problematic, and kind of just dive deeper into that. Because I think we all have our blind sides and our biases. It's just, they're just going to come out, and that's how it is. So I think like it's just important to remember that I think every white person has a lot of work to do, no matter how much progress you've made. We all are continuing to learn, and it's important that we just keep putting in the work. And I think like Kyle clearly has a ton of work that needs to be done. Like Taylor said, he needs to. I know that he's maybe in a more sheltered area, maybe wasn't exposed to certain things, but there's almost no excuse anymore at this point. I mean, there's so many resources out there, and it should not be on the people of color to educate white people about this. There's so many things that we can do to educate ourselves. So that's just my piece on it.
I agree. Very well said. Very well said. On the gameplay, Garrett, who do you have left?
Yeah.
I have Monty and Turner.
You know what? Monty has a huge chance. So does Turner. I think both of them have a pathway to win. Both of them.
I agree. I just I liked Joseph a lot, and I'm bummed that Turner, like it's really Turner's. I mean, it's not really Turner's fault that Joseph is gone, but Turner essentially chose Kyle and Alyssa and Terrence, but over the alliance that they already had, which they could have been. They literally were just steamrolling everyone in the house and could have continued to steamroll everyone in the house. And I think it's such a, excuse my language, but I think it's such a bitch move that Kyle just immediately spills the beans on everything. And I think that the leftovers should have taken action against him a little bit before that, because there had been signs that he was teetering towards Alyssa well over the group. And I was just so bummed at how the two festival little situation turned out. And R.I.P. my boy Joseph. I would have rather had Joseph on my team than Turner, even though I think Turner is a better game player and has probably a better chance at winning. there's like a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth with Turner now.
Yeah.
The biggest bad taste in my mouth for all of them is how dirty they've done Joseph since he left.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Like, I honestly understand everything that happened throughout the time. You know, like everything that was happening in Direfest, it made sense to gameplays with how they were justifying it. But they did not need to just keep continuously throwing him under the bus like this. And I do think that that's going to be their downfall, because nobody ever saw that side of him. And now it just came out when he's outside. It's like, yeah, I guess stressful situations, people act out. But so I'm happy, even though she's really struggling with it, Taylor is kind of realizing like, that's not the guy that I know. And Joseph made a few small errors with just opening up about certain things he shouldn't have, but there were other ways they could have masked what happened and masked their alliance without just dragging him like that.
Yeah, they did him so dirty. I'm like, come on, man. Like, I already had to watch him leave. I'm like, why are you doing my boy like this? Like, it was just, and like, I think this was on a live feed actually, but Kyle straight up called him a scumbag. I was like, come on, really? Like, that just really, honestly,
Joseph is the scumbag,
like,
Kyle.
Joseph
Definitely
really.
good read on the situation, buddy.
Yeah, sounds like projecting to me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. What about you, Emma? You still have Taylor.
I have Taylor, and I think Alyssa. Is she on my team?
I think you have Alyssa. Who has Brittany?
I do.
Oh yeah.
I'm above you on my screen.
Oh, well.
Well, there you go.
Sorry. It made sense to me, so that's all that matters, right?
So what do you think of Taylor's chances to win and Alyssa's chances to win?
I think Alyssa,
Boo.
Boo. I don't see her winning. What is she? I mean, I know she's kind of, her social game is good, I guess, but like, what is she honestly really?
Her social game is not even that good. She's coasted by, and I want to watch her take a live geography test, because that bitch is
so dumb, and Kyle is so dumb. When they finished that stupid conversation off with him going, "Oh, I don't know, I just don't get geometry."
Oh my god, I wanted to rip my hair. Like, I genuinely, that bothered me so much. Like, where she said, is Paris close to London? I was like, there's a whole thing. It's called the Channel. There's a reason. They are so close. Like, ugh. It was just annoying. That really annoyed me. So
this after me, the Canadian, in a Zoom that we had with our friends earlier, have to explain to all the Americans that the capital of Mississippi is Jackson.
Yeah, he was telling us what it's just, I get it. American education isn't great. We have experienced it, but like, come on. I know that.
See, Kyle and Alyssa.
Did I tell you guys the miles per hour, kilometers per hour story? I know TJ obviously got told this, but here's a little fun fact. So after we crossed the border into Canada, driving to TJ's wedding, the first speed limit sign we saw said 80 maximum, and I was like, nice. It's like, back in that empty area of Montana, there was an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit. I know in a lot of areas of Texas, there's an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit. So I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. Couple miles down the road, another one says 90 maximum. And I'm like, ooh, these Canadians, they know what's up. Okay. Don't mind if I do. So I go 90 miles per hour. Couple miles down the road, we're like 10 minutes past the border at this point, and we see another sign for 100 maximum. And I look over at Nina and I say, babe, something is not right. Please look on Google and see if you're supposed to drive in kilometers per hour in Canada. And you are.
Yeah,
TJ, how much is 100 kilometers per hour? Do you think?
Probably
I think it's like 75, isn't it?
Oh
no, it's less.
It's less.
It's around 60. It's around 60.
No.
I can never remember. No. It's 0.6 miles is 1 kilometer, and 1 mile is 1.7 kilometers.
Oh, that's bad. I mean,
Yeah,
not that
62.
people don't go 90 on like highways here, but like
good thing you didn't get on a double lane where it's 110.
Oh wow.
Oh, we did at one point, but I had already figured it out at that point.
I've
That's
learned
awesome.
that you can go if the speed limit is 110 on highways, you won't get pulled over if you're going under 130. If you cap it at 129, you're just going to get a side eye.
that's kind of like here.
Yeah, here if you go like 80
Like-
or over, you're like
Yeah.
we'll get caught, but like 79, 78, chilling.
Yeah. And it's like it's like I guess 12 over is kind of the I've gotten pulled over for like I think I was going 78. I'm like, come on. Like other people are zooming around me. Like really?
Mhm.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
going with the flow of traffic, my guy.
Like, what do you want me to do? Like, come on. Thankfully, I got a warning, but I
sometimes you got to go with the flow of traffic, and sometimes you just got to go with the flow of the podcast and talk with whatever is on your mind. Make sure you head over to agentsoffandom.com as well. Lee's always writing his Big Brother breakdowns, giving his latest rankings, and next time we record, I'm going to be coming with some scores because we're down to our top 8 and we were scoring top 10. So as of right now, Garrett and I each got a point, and everybody else is lacking because your points don't end until.
Oh, am I lacking?
So
yeah.
I mean, hey, you're just riding Terrence to the end, man.
That's right. I got Kyle and Terrence, and Kyle's out this week, so yeah.
And Terrence should have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah, come on.
Let's
Like,
be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to be sitting with no team here pretty quickly, and I'll be rooting for everybody but Garrett. But anyway.
But hey, Daniel and Nicole did great for you.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Garrett. That's what I forgot about.
Yes.
Oh.
So we're talking about why it may have been
Nice.
difficult for Michael and Brittany to have that conversation and speak out about it. And that was the other reason, is because I was talking about I'd be anxious calling somebody out, right? This was fresh off the heels of Daniel just screaming and everyone making everyone so uncomfortable. I personally would be worried of avoiding that situation again because I hate those types of confrontations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I love how
I'll
he
get
brought
your-
that back around. I get that.
No, but I'm glad he remembered. You know,
I was
We're
positive
good
I lost
partners.
Yeah. I'm just saying, and this is going back to what Emma said, as a white, yes, I'm gay, but as a white man, I want to have courage. I want to have more courage in situations that I face, even despite the panic and how uncomfortable it is. Imagine how uncomfortable it is for the people of color. So I just have to, I want us all to be more courageous and speak out when we're supposed to speak out and not be silent.
You're absolutely right. And that's
So you're telling me to go to my company and tell them, give me a raise.
Well, yeah,
that's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
With great power comes great responsibility. And if I'm uncomfortable as the person in power in that position, it's probably shittier for everyone else. Good point.
Agreed.
Yep.
Completely agree.
Awesome.
Let's I guess we're wrapping up because I think we've got, let's see, we've sped through the Canadian highways. What else have we done? You know, all kinds of stuff.
We sped through everything except for the length of the podcast.
Yeah.
It's only 53 minutes. We're not even doing bad.
Oh, great. Okay, I thought. All right.
I genuinely think this is the best episode we've ever done on our own. Like, it's tough to compare them to the interviews with guests because James, Jack, Delisa, Trevor, they've all been phenomenal. But this was a phenomenal episode, team. We messed around. We made fun of each other. We talked about some real important shit.
Yeah, I really love these kind of things because, just have a mix of like funny jabs at each other and stories, but also like super real conversations. And I just love that I can talk about this stuff with you guys, and I feel very.
No, I hate you guys. I'm out of here.
Like TJ just left. We thought he just left.
Jail.
Jail.
Don't forget, we're going to have our jewelry competition. Are we getting close to? Are you gathering jewelry yet? Have we started?
I don't know. I've been trying to tell them to coordinate amongst themselves for weeks, but I don't know. It'll happen when it happens, I suppose.
It'll happen.
I figured we have some time with still a few weeks of Big Brother left. I am not coordinating squat until I get back from Chicago. That's when I am getting back into coordinating mode.
How exciting!
We're gonna. It's not gonna happen.
When I get my
right
burst of
No,
when
it's
I get my
happening.
burst of energy,
It's
in the
happening.
fall, it's
And it's
happening.
live.
I will thrive in the fall. It is too hot outside for me to think. So when it starts getting to be fall, when I can go pumpkin picking, I will be rejuvenated.
The great thing about Amazon, guys, is you can sit at a computer and order the detachable jewelry, and you can text amongst each other with your phones, and you don't ever have to leave your house or go anywhere. It's amazing. It's so easy. It's incredible.
Well, you would be surprised at how long I leave my friends on like red because I just don't have the energy to respond to a text. Sometimes I just
That's
don't
why
feel
I
like
put my read receipts on, so I feel like I once I open it, like I have to answer it now.
Right. That's what happens. I'll like be like, shit, I opened it, and then yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. What did our producer just say? Oh, he just said, "Did I miss the episode?"
Like,
yeah, as we ramble on. No, the episode is continuing on. Producer,
everyone wants to hear our.
Yes, we are excited.
And so we're excited about a lot of stuff because this episode is going to be dropping on September 5th, and September 6th is when we are going to have our interview with the amazing crew from Dream Home Renovation, Instant Home Renovation. Instant Dream Home. What is it, Emma?
It's Instant Dream Home.
I swear that was not my misogyny making me talk over you, but it was my competitiveness with myself wanting to get it right.
Oh man, that's
I admire
so funny.
the confidence. I really do.
Yes.
Have fun cutting that one, Ruben.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't getting cut. This is all through. We're real. This isn't just the ticket to reality. This is the ticket to the real us.
This is our Be Real moment.
Thanks for listening, Cousin Jack. I hope you'll come back. Our single only listener. All right. That's it. I think we're done.
We've been doing well lately, guys. We got like 30.
We love you guys.
Ruben, cut, God damn it.